Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and I am also a doctoral student of psychology. Today, I wanted to go over what to do when an avoidant gets distant, some techniques. It's not going to apply for every relationship, of course. However, it can be a good way to invest in some of these skills to help your relationship, whether it's in preparation for when they get distant or in general, you can build these things in within the relationship so that distance is less common within the relationship, because some of these things might not necessarily be applicable to every situation. However, I still think you can extrapolate some things from these techniques to build healthier relationships. And the very first one, I stand by this in general, regardless of attachment style. Sometimes it's timing. And what do I mean by that? Take time to consider what is a good time to have any conversation that typically is on the negative side. And why does this have to do with avoidance getting distant? A lot of avoidants get distant when they're overwhelmed by multiple things at once. So let's just say they are, I don't know, they work in sales and they are not meeting their numbers for whatever reason, and they're frustrated and they're working on that and they're putting effort into that, and maybe you feel neglected, which sure, fair enough, you're their partner, that you want attention, that's normal, and you're bringing that up too, and it's happening at the same time, and so now they're shutting down and getting more distant. And it's not like they don't care about you, and it's not like you don't respect the fact that they're busy. It's just the timing was a little bit clashing. And maybe you didn't even realize they were at the same time, or you didn't think about it like that. And so what to do to remedy this situation typically is have a discussion when, things get a little bit more settled at a good time. Whatever you think is a good time, whatever your partner thinks a good time. I would say like after work hours or maybe like early mornings on weekends, whatever you guys want to do, to have a time to discuss whatever it is about this distant or work issue or whatever it is. Having that topic brought up during more palatable times can really make a difference. The next one is similar. I guess we can just call it like setting the mood. Begin conversations gently. Right? We want to begin conversations in a way where they don't feel criticized, anybody. And that usually sets the tone for the continuous conversation. So if you say something like, you don't give me attention, you're distant and cold, that is already setting the conversation up for a lot of negativity. However, if you mention something like, I know that you've been really stressed about not meeting your numbers, and I do want to let you know I am aware that some of that is in play, but I noticed that because of that stress, I feel like our relationship has been a little bit neglected. You canceled on me the last 2 times that I asked if we could hang out, and I know part of it is the work situation, but what can we do so that we can prioritize our relationship without overly burdening you during this stressful time at work? These things make a difference depending on how you bring it up and how close you are with your partner. But any technique similar to that, I do think it benefits regardless of attachment style, but especially with avoidance. The next one is, in general, stay calm and non-confrontational, even if they're not calm or they're confrontational. I know people don't like this, but at the end of the day, you're also doing this for yourself as a person. Like, your mental health will benefit from you remaining calm and being as non-confrontational as possible, regardless of the other individual's behavior. Because a lot of avoidants, they get irritable. And sometimes what I notice is they get distant. And then if you talk to them and you trigger them, now they're getting more confrontational, right? Some avoidants do this, and it's tricky. Because you felt like you were just trying to discuss something or talk about how you feel, and they were distant, and now they're just putting something onto you, and now you're confused, you feel hurt, they feel hurt, etc. So when a person feels attacked, you or them, you guys will feel overwhelmed, right? And so keeping the tone even can be very helpful, and sometimes it can allow whatever their negativity is going on in their head to reduce as well. Maybe what you said triggered them for whatever reason, their childhood, their ex-wife, whoever, right? And you said something like, I feel like you've been distant. Can we talk about it? That's not a bad thing to say. But now they're thinking, oh, I'm neglecting my partner. I'm a bad boyfriend or girlfriend. I'm a horrible person. And then they start getting defensive, right? Now at this time, this is not for you to start becoming more confrontational or also being on the defense, right? You want to mention, I didn't mean it that I was saying that you don't take care of me or take care of the relationship. I was just wondering what's going on and how we can navigate that. I didn't mean anything negative by it. Anything, just to soften it. And then usually what happens is they follow up and say, you know what, I was too non-reactive. I know you're not like that. That's usually ideally how it goes. I understand that's not always how it goes in relationships, but this is a skill that you guys want to build so that the distance decreases. The next one is giving space. Temporarily, sometimes distance is a reaction to emotional flooding. And so when you see your significant other being overwhelmed or they communicate they're overwhelmed, suggest a short break. Mention something like, I actually think you're overwhelmed. Do you want to take a break from this conversation and talk about it tomorrow? If they are okay with that, do that. Take a break and talk about it tomorrow. Sometimes this is very beneficial and they feel respected because you are communicating with them what you feel is beneficial or healthy. The next one is address the pattern gently, but it's usually outside of conflict or when the distance is either it's stringing out too long or where the distance is now over and you can have a normal conversation. So it's kind of outside the conflict zone typically. You can address this. Hey, I notice when you're very stressed out, you put our relationship on the back burner. I get it. I do that too. But I would like to have like a strategy between us where we don't do that as much. Maybe during stressful times, we could talk about what's stressful together. And so that we can still communicate and be connected while still acknowledging the work stress that we have. Gently addressing the pattern. Now, if it's a long time and they've been distant for like weeks, you might say, I've noticed that you've been distant for a long time. I tried not to say anything because I understand. I do get that you're not hitting your numbers at work, and I think that's reasonable. I'm sure I would be distant too, but I also think that it's important that we prioritize our relationship. What do you think we can do about it? I'm, open to suggestions. And so you're able to address it. The next one is encourage emotional safety. This does not have to be verbal encouragement. In general, reassure your partner that you're here if they need to talk. You value their perspective and you understand, and you don't have to verbally say it, but you can also do it by the way you behave when they share something. If they're saying, I really need space, you can say, I appreciate you sharing that with me. Let me know when you want to talk, and I probably will check in with you tomorrow if that's okay with you, right? So you gave emotional safety and you encourage that without you having to say it first. I guess is a better way to say it because you still are verbalizing it, but you're not the one initiating it. You can though. And the next one is avoid late night discussions. I see this a lot, and I personally think this is not healthy for relationships. If you raise sensitive issues during late night hours, or you're talking way into like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. type of things, this is not going to be productive, and all of this make more negativity within the relationship. Try not to raise sensitive issues right before bedtime, and so that the anxiety and sleep deprivation is not affecting how the communication goes forward. Save it for another time. Sometimes even when you sleep, you start realizing, because your subconscious is going to process some of these things, that maybe the things that were upsetting you is not such a big deal, or you have more clarification on what you want to say. That can be very helpful. And the next one is just recognize emotional responses. Be aware that sometimes your partner is going to be emotionally charged and you're emotionally charged. Try not to hold it too much. Don't take it too personally because everybody does these things. It's normal. And when you guys are in a relationship for a really long time, you're going to see sides of your partner you didn't see the first couple months, couple years. It doesn't mean they were lying. It just means they're more closer to you. And so just recognize the emotional responses, be gentle with each other, acknowledge that, acknowledge their fear, acknowledge that they might feel emotionally charged, and just be aware that you two as a couple, you got to grow together, not trying to pick or force each other to be out of their comfort zone. So let's summarize. The first one is timing. The second one is setting the mood. The third one is remain calm and non-confrontational. Fourth one is give space. Fifth one is address the pattern. The next one is encourage emotional safety. The next one is avoid late night discussions. And the last one is recognize emotional responses and patterns. I hope this video is helpful to somebody. Please like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.